Well. Hollywood's picture-perfect romance was a complete fraud. The planet stopped spinning when Joe Rogan leaned into his mic, took a sharp breath, and unleashed a truth bomb that obliterated millions of naive little hearts. They were both unfaithful from day one. Yes, darlings, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban. The iconic duo, the red carpet fantasy, the very image of loyalty. Behind those practiced grins brewed a tornado of deceit, dishonesty, and dual identities nobody predicted. Insiders allege Nicole Kidman never really left Tom Cruise, even after saying "I do" to Keith. She supposedly kept a covert link to Tom. Clandestine meetings, private plane trips, and a secret CCTV clip from a Paris hotel at 2 a.m. And let's be clear, Keith was no saint. Rogan flashed a dossier live on air, exposing names that ignited the internet. Maggie B.A. and Kelsey Ballerini. Hotel records, exposed messages, VIP lounge access, various cities, numerous evenings, a black box tracker on his tour bus quietly logging his location, a scheme of treachery far too elaborate to dismiss. Rogan didn't hint, he detonated. This wasn't a relationship naturally ending. This was a prolonged, premeditated deception by both partners. Nicole Kidman lied, Keith Urban lied, and Tinseltown kept marketing their beautiful fiction. Beyond the courthouse, reality shone more intensely than any stage light. The custody arrangement? 306 days for Nicole, a paltry 59 for Keith, spoke volumes on its own. This was never a partnership. It was an act, a competition, a falsehood packaged in glamorous events and camera flashes. And now, that fabrication has been revealed to everyone. He went straight for the kill shot. This wasn't some tragic romance crumbling. This was straight-up treachery. Two master manipulators, playing each other from the very start. Nicole Kidman, the elegant actress who milked the world's sympathy after leaving Tom Cruise, and Keith Urban, the country crooner praised for his fierce loyalty, his sickeningly sweet love declarations, his flawless camera-ready grins. Together they constructed an empire on a foundation of love, forgiveness, and family. But behind those impeccable smiles, they were fighting a silent, brutal war. Joe Rogan cracked open a thick, worn file on his desk. Cameras dove in as he produced one blurred photo after another. His voice turned to steel. This isn't rumor. This isn't gossip. This is what you were never meant to see. According to Rogan's claims, Nicole never actually left Tom Cruise. Even after marrying Keith, she was allegedly maintaining a secret affair. Not just texts or calls, but physical meetups, concealed flight logs, private jets landing at bizarre hours, discreet Paris hotel bookings under aliases, and the ultimate nail in the coffin, a CCTV video of Nicole and Tom at 2:07 a.m., laughing, hand in hand, strolling a private hotel hallway like they didn't have a care or a secret in the world. She was all smiles on red carpets, Joe snarled, his voice cracking with theatrical fury. But after dark, she was flying right back to the man she supposedly escaped. The studio atmosphere turned to ice. You could feel the crushing weight in every second of silence. But then came the plot twist nobody anticipated. Joe slammed the folder shut, leaned into the lens, and raised his voice. But if you think she was the only liar, you are dead wrong. Keith Urban was not innocent. Not even a little. The next batch of evidence hit the table. This one felt heavier. Screenshots, hotel receipts, backstage passes, VIP lists, tour bus logs, everything painted a devastating picture no fan could stomach. Keith Urban, the man who famously serenaded Nicole at awards shows, was allegedly living a full double life on tour. Joe named names: Maggie Ba and Kelsey Ballerini, the women who kept appearing in the evidence. Not random groupies, not one-off mistakes, but consistent figures across multiple cities. His tour dates perfectly aligned with suspicious hotel registrations. Maggie's entourage was repeatedly seen lurking near Keith's luxury buses. Kelsey's name kept appearing on ultra-private guest lists that no ordinary person could access. Then came the real bombshell, the black box device. A whistleblower from Keith's own security team stepped forward. Joe revealed the unbelievable scoop. He claimed a covert tracking system hidden inside Keith's tour bus was silently documenting every move, location, and phone log. After a major leak, these records supposedly exposed Keith coordinating secret after-show meetups across 7 separate cities. Identical hotels, identical names, identical clandestine routes, and this entire elaborate scheme unfolded while Nicole was performing the part of the doting wife, uploading anniversary throwbacks, beaming at galas, and pretending her world was flawless. Joe's tone turned razor sharp. This wasn't a relationship naturally dissolving. This was two people entrenched in a shared falsehood. She had her Tom, he had his Maggie and Kelsey, and for years, absolute silence. The digital world erupted instantly. A flood of thousands of comments poured in, devotees shrieking in pure shock. Others confessing the pair always seemed impossibly immaculate. But the truly unexpected part was the cold, calculated nature of the deception. Nicole apparently confronted Keith months before their split. She'd already obtained the damning texts, heard the rumors, received the incriminating pictures. She delivered a final demand: end the affairs or watch their entire empire implode. But Keith defiantly refused. Or perhaps he simply couldn't stop, because his cheating wasn't a simple error. It was a deeply ingrained habit, a second life. And let's be clear, Nicole was no victim here. Behind the scenes, she was allegedly slipping back into Tom Cruise's orbit. Their covert late-night trysts were shielded by personal bodyguards, airtight NDAs, and lucrative secret payments. Both of them, Joe hissed, stared directly into the cameras and brazenly lied. For years, one red carpet smile at a time. The real gut punch, however, came from the custody details. Legal documents confirmed a staggering 306 days of custody for Nicole, and a paltry 59 days for Keith. No legal drama, no prolonged fight, just a hushed, quick signature from Keith Urban, as if he knew the proof against him was far too devastating to challenge. Outside the courthouse, camera flashes turned the night into a lightning storm. Every headline roared with tales of betrayal. So-called Hollywood royalty saw their epic love story, their precious brand, their entire fairy tale exposed as nothing more than a scripted red carpet performance, engineered from lies. Joe Rogan concluded his epic rant with a line that shredded a million screens. This wasn't a marriage, it was a meticulously staged production. Just hours after Joe's show detonated online, shadowy insiders began dumping alleged flight manifests, hotel receipts, encrypted chats, and pixelated surveillance clips. It was a front-row seat to a fairy tale burning to the ground. Each passing minute unleashed another puzzle piece, and every single one formed the same devastating portrait. They'd been deceiving the entire planet for years. Nicole's deception led the charge. Rumors of her enduring bond with Tom Cruise had circulated forever, but nobody had the guts to say it publicly until Joe. The leaked Paris footage was the match. A solitary clip, barely 25 seconds long, supposedly shows Nicole and Tom stepping into a hotel elevator, hand in hand. At 2:07 a.m., the elevator doors sealed their secret. That was the trigger. Social media exploded into chaos. This isn't just a coincidence, one source insisted. Those clandestine meetings were a recurring event. Same hotel, same eerie hour, same two people. That wasn't some innocent friendship. That was a full-blown secret life. Private jet records under phantom corporate names synced perfectly with Tom Cruise's itinerary and Nicole's promotional travels. A puzzle nobody previously wanted to solve was now violently assembling itself. And the real kicker? Nicole had masterfully crafted her image as the devoted, wounded wife, the family's steadfast anchor while Keith was on the road. But offstage, she was reportedly living a brazen double life, vanishing for meticulously planned trysts guarded by NDAs, hushed financial agreements, and private bodyguards. Joe Rogan's accusation reverberated across the globe. She wasn't innocent, not for one single second. She performed the part of the flawless spouse while secretly returning to Tom Cruise under cover of darkness. But the true nuclear blast hit when Keith's web of lies unfurled. If Nicole's alleged double life was shocking, Keith's sprawling affair saga launched a total global meltdown. First, the names we already knew, Maggie Bia and Kelsey Ballerini. Then, fresh murmurs. Backup singers, production staff, a Nashville journalist, even an anonymous woman from Australia who allegedly surfaced in numerous encrypted texts. The black box device in his tour bus proved to be the linchpin. Insiders revealed it logged time-stamped locations and calls from Keith's cell. A supposed security team member copied the entire contents onto a USB drive months before the divorce. The leaked data, now public, supposedly maps the entire timeline of Keith's elaborate double life. 7 different cities, the same shady locations, secret hotel suites reserved under aliases, GPS pings that perfectly align with the tour schedules of Maggie Bia and Kelsey Ballerini. Devoted fans who had supported Keith for years were absolutely crushed. He used the very stage where he sang love ballads for Nicole, one heartbroken fan posted, just to conceal that he was sharing his bed with another woman. Joe Rogan's live reaction was predictably volcanic. This was no simple mistake. This was a deliberate, calculated, and meticulously concealed operation. They were both fully aware of their disgusting game. By the second night of this explosive reveal, Hollywood launched into total damage control. Publicists went radio silent. Lawyers were placed on red alert. NDAs were brutally reinforced. So-called friends who once grinned beside them on red carpets suddenly developed a case of amnesia and vanished. One insider swears Nicole Kidman's PR squad had a full crisis management dossier ready for years, just waiting for her Tom Cruise connection to blow up. Meanwhile, Keith's people desperately fought to contain the fallout from that leaked USB, allegedly throwing massive stacks of hush money at anyone who might spill the truth. "This isn't just a scandal," a top entertainment journalist declared. "This is total Hollywood warfare." And while their teams battled the blaze, the internet gleefully poured gasoline on it with Nicole exposed, or Keith Urban affair, or double cheating scandal, and Rogan leaks. Behind the fortress of PR spin and legal threats, a brutal truth emerged. According to those in the know, Nicole confronted Keith in June, just before their 19th anniversary. She already had the dirt on Maggie, the texts, the photos, the undeniable proof. She gave him one final ultimatum: end it completely, or she would torch their entire marriage. Keith refused, or perhaps he arrogantly assumed she'd never follow through. He sorely misjudged her. But let's be clear, Nicole wasn't some pure angel either. Right around that same time, Keith supposedly got an anonymous email with a single attachment. A crystal clear still frame from that now infamous Paris CCTV footage. There they were, Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise, fingers lovingly intertwined. The ultimate proof of her deception. They didn't merely lose faith in one another. They became rival intelligence agents, stockpiling ammunition for a silent war. Two souls who once swore eternal love were now compiling legal missiles aimed squarely at each other's reputations. "This was never about love anymore," Joe Rogan snarled on his broadcast. "It was a race to see who would get destroyed first." By September, their private war concluded without a single courtroom showdown. Keith Urban meekly signed away 83% of his children's custody to Nicole. He offered no resistance. He launched no argument. Legal experts were floored. For a man who built his entire brand on family values to surrender so completely means only one thing. Nicole possessed leverage, truly devastating leverage, and the entire planet knew precisely what that leverage contained. The photos, the black box data, the Paris footage. Tinseltown has witnessed scandals, sure, but this was thermonuclear. Their pristine image was constructed like a gorgeous glass house. Shiny, delicate, beautiful. But it only took one stone, one brutal truth, for the entire fragile structure to implode. That gushing June anniversary post, "Happy anniversary, baby," now plays like a final desperate performance before the stage collapsed. Keith's solitary heart emoji reply now feels hollow and utterly meaningless. 2 months later, divorce documents were filed. 3 months later, the confidential files leaked. 4 months later, the globe watched their red carpet romance become a raging inferno. Joe Rogan stared dead into the lens during his second segment on the saga, and delivered the line that stole the internet's breath. They fooled everyone, but they couldn't fool the truth. She had her Tom. He had his Maggie, his Kelsey, and heaven knows how many others. This wasn't a sacred union. It was a corporation founded on treachery. Online comment sections transformed into brutal digital war zones. Supporters fractured, creating memes, endless threads, and sharing leaked screenshots. Armchair detectives began excavating old interviews, scrutinizing their body language, dissecting every single public moment the couple shared over 19 long years. She was crying at the Golden Globes out of guilt, one fan theorized. He consistently looked away during their kisses. That was the tell, another declared. We were all just watching two brilliant actors perform, and we bought every second of it. The betrayal was no longer just theirs to bear. It became a public possession. People felt conned, swindled, and utterly used. They didn't just cheat on each other, Joe stated with chilling finality. They cheated on the entire world that adored them. And as that next tsunami of leaks crashed down, more names, more faces, more proof, the scandal erupted into an uncontrollable wildfire, a blaze no PR team could ever hope to extinguish. Hollywood's flawless power couple had officially become its most infamous cautionary tale. This was just the glorious start of their legacy's total demolition. The original lie was massive, but the resulting collapse was absolutely epic. 3 weeks after Joe Rogan's initial bombshell, the scandal around Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban exploded from muted gossip into a full-scale cultural detonation. What originated as a simple double-cheating narrative morphed into something far more sinister. A chronicle of manipulation, covert power struggles, shattered alliances, and a desperate Hollywood PR apparatus trying to reassemble a fairy tale that was already just dust. The public wasn't merely observing a failed marriage anymore. They were witnessing an entire legacy being incinerated. In secret Beverly Hills boardrooms, the powerful were in pure panic mode. Crisis PR agents were summoned from New York on private jets. Lawyers billed 24-hour days. Major sponsors demanded immediate explanations. Endorsement agreements were silently put on ice. No corporation would go near Nicole or Keith, not while their names were permanently glued to the Tolerant Double Cheating Scandal hashtag for 19 consecutive brutal days. Insiders called it a level of industry terror not seen since the most historic celebrity meltdowns. Leaked audio supposedly captured frantic calls between studio executives, whispering about dropping Nicole Kidman from future projects and strong-arming Keith Urban into total silence before the situation became completely unsalvageable. But the hurricane was already too immense. Anonymous sources started dumping emails, contracts and NDAs connected to their partnership, purportedly proving that both Nicole and Keith manufactured their public persona as a lucrative brand, while their actual relationship disintegrated. Their love wasn't real, Joe Rogan stated, his tone icier than ever. It was a business transaction disguised as a romance, and when the truth emerged, the contract went up in flames. If the Paris CCTV and the black box data were the first cracks, the USB leaks were the sledgehammer. The drive, allegedly stolen from Keith's security, held months of private logs, GPS data, texts, and hotel records. Within hours, screenshots spread through secret gossip channels, then to Platform X, then to every major news outlet. One screenshot supposedly showed Keith writing to Maggie Ba, "I wish I could tell the world it's always been you." Another, a time-stamped message connected him to Kelsey Ballerini, planning a private evening in Denver. Nicole's camp got no mercy. A new, clearer angle of the Paris footage surfaced, showing Tom Cruise's arm draped over Nicole's shoulder, laughing like no time had passed. The digital world detonated with rage, heartbreak, and a profound sense of betrayal. They were both living an elaborate lie, Joe proclaimed, and the whole planet fell for the performance. For years, they seemed invincible. Magazine covers, award show PDA, anniversary posts garnering millions of likes. But their most loyal fans had now become their fiercest judges. Reddit threads blew up with forensic analyses of old interviews. TikTokers excavated vintage clips, pointing out how Keith always seemed to look away during their kisses. The subtle way Nicole's jaw tightened whenever his name was mentioned. Those insignificant details that once seemed charming now appeared as damning proof. "They were performing for us," one viral post declared. "We were the captivated audience, and their marriage was the stage." Dedicated fan pages vanished overnight. Followers abandoned them in massive waves. Corporations discreetly erased their images from advertising campaigns. Even longtime professional partners began creating distance. This had escalated beyond mere infidelity. It was a profound betrayal of their entire global audience. Both camps entered complete radio silence. No press releases, no sit-down interviews, no explanatory statements. But in a firestorm this intense, silence doesn't extinguish the flames. It pours gasoline on them. Nicole was last spotted fleeing her Los Angeles estate, her face hidden, engulfed by a team of bodyguards. Keith reportedly vanished into a secluded Tennessee ranch, evading all press. But Joe Rogan certainly wasn't quiet. "They can hide behind their high walls," he thundered, "but they can't hide from the truth. Not anymore." His third explosive segment on the topic broke the internet instantly. This was no longer mere celebrity gossip. It was a piercing cultural indictment. Joe framed their deception as the ultimate symbol of Hollywood's factory of fake love, selling polished fairy tales to distract from the moral decay underneath. "They weren't a love story," he stated cuttingly. "They were a brand, and that brand is now deceased." Financial analysts began reporting unprecedented fallout. Nicole's future film projects were suddenly put on indefinite hold. Streaming services quietly backed away from pending deals. Keith's tour sponsors withdrew their support one by one. Their public image, once their most valuable asset, had become their greatest weakness. Then, the court documents were unsealed. That lopsided 83% to 17% custody split was no longer just a statistic. It was undeniable proof of the brutal power struggle happening backstage. The public started connecting the horrifying dots. Nicole allegedly possessing the Paris footage. Keith supposedly terrified of the USB leaks. Both were locked in a silent, vicious stalemate of mutually assured destruction. This wasn't romance. It was a Cold War. One wrong move from either side, Joe explained, and they'd both be utterly annihilated. That's the real reason for the silence. That silence is now louder than the affairs themselves. Betrayal doesn't just demolish the people within the marriage. It obliterates everything in its orbit. Former confidants began speaking anonymously. One close associate allegedly told a reporter, "They've been at war for years. This isn't new information. We all witnessed the fractures. The world was just blind to them. Those old award show photographs now feel like a perverted illusion. Two people beaming, hands clasped, while secretly gathering ammunition against one another behind the scenes. Their children, meticulously sheltered from press their entire lives, were suddenly dragged into the toxic online discourse. Supporters dissected custody details like seasoned legal pundits. Media headlines abandoned all career accolades, focusing solely on the affairs, the footage, the USB drive, the implosion. What truly makes this catastrophe so profoundly devastating isn't simply that they were unfaithful to one another. It's that they constructed a global empire directly atop those deceptions. For almost 20 years, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were the living emblem of Hollywood romance. The duo everyone cited as definitive proof that authentic love could survive in show business. Those gushing anniversary tributes, the coordinated red carpet appearances, the Forever and Always magazine profiles. All of it, a performance. Joe Rogan's voice thundered across the web in one now legendary soundbite. They didn't just cheat on each other, they cheated on you, on every single person who ever believed in them. That specific sentence became the definitive headline. That sentence ignited a public movement. That sentence transformed their narrative into a scandal so immense no PR team could possibly conceal it. Legally, their divorce was orderly and efficient. In the brutal court of public opinion, however, it was a savage execution. Nicole Kidman's alleged connection with Tom Cruise became standard fodder for late-night comedy roasts. Keith Urban's purported entanglements with Maggie B.A. and Kelsey Ballerini inspired full documentaries, primetime interviews, and endless TikTok investigative deep dives. Every company they endorsed, every television program they graced, every press interview they conducted, all of it is now being rewatched through a lens of utter skepticism. Every smile was a lie, one fan commented. Every I love you was a line from a script. Every moment was a calculated performance. Joe Rogan concluded his last segment without any dramatic flair, without raising his voice, delivering only a bone-chilling, quiet verdict. They built a kingdom on lies, and tonight that kingdom fell. This scandal didn't merely terminate a marriage. It murdered a beautiful myth. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban. Once Tinseltown's ultimate symbol of eternal commitment, they've become the cautionary legend we'll never forget. The USB drive, the black box, the Paris footage, the betrayal, the deafening silence, the spectacular fall. There will always be fresh celebrities, breaking news, and brand new controversies. But this one? This will be remembered as the exact moment the planet finally understood that Hollywood love stories are frequently penned using ink manufactured from pure falsehoods. This is not merely another celebrity gossip column. This is a treachery that torched the very fairy tale an entire planet trusted. Nicole Kidman, Keith Urban. For almost 2 full decades, they marketed a romance packaged in glamorous events, coordinated grins, and yearly affectionate kisses. But concealed behind that immaculate facade was a war zone overflowing with deception, clandestine affairs, and dual existences. They weren't only dishonest with one another. They deceived every single individual who ever had faith in their charade. The Paris CCTV, the secret recordings, the tracking device, the names Tom Cruise, Maggie Bay, Kelsey Ballerini. This was not some simple error. This was a deliberate routine, an elaborate act, a union founded on the mirage of permanence, while their actual hearts belonged elsewhere. Now, as reality detonates globally, their life's work disintegrates into dust. The flawless pair has vanished. All that remains is perfidy etched permanently into news banners, legal filings, and the shattered trust of millions of followers, all wondering one identical, haunting thing. For how many years were we deliberately deceived? Joe Rogan didn't invent this disaster. He merely voiced what Hollywood was far too terrified to confess. They duped the entire Earth, but they could never outsmart the undeniable truth. So tonight, while that pristine red carpet fantasy crumbles into nothing, one fact remains perfectly clear. Deceit can gleam brilliantly beneath the spotlights for ages, but when reality finally emerges, it incinerates absolutely everything to the ground.